Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to where finally it is time. It is time to do that thing. The 8th episode of the Stream of Consciousness series, building a Sheila. Everybody knows Sheila, the pinkest FJ40 to ever be. And Sheila, following Bruce, we had Socks Bop. This is Socks Boss. And that was the Bruce overhaul program. So what Sheila did was benefit from the lessons that we think we learned building Bruce, the FMS FJ40. Bruce, as he sits now, is the big, beautiful FMS body, the rails, the leaf springs from FMS, and that's end of list for FMS parts. His gearbox has been replaced. His axles have been replaced. All of the running gear has been replaced. And Sheila is very close to the same territory. The only difference is she is currently, right now, those are the stock FMS axles. They are probably just fine. They have been updated to a point because we changed the transfer case. We changed the gearbox. She is the, what did I call her? The FMS TRX-J40, because we've got a full FMS 4-to-1 reduction box in the front, going to the FMS-T case, all sourced from a CFXW, and then feeding the axles. So we have modified TRX4 drive shafts, so she doesn't use any of the reduced pins. We made the little mount piece in the middle. So today, the goal is to do all in one. The goal is to remove those FMS axles and put them in the bin, leaving just Nigel as the only vehicle running FMS axles and a parts bin deep enough to build another one, as often happens. If you're going to throw money at it, you might as well throw money at it. Boom Racing, let me grab the front, BRX90s, and I even have, because I've done this before, since it's not my first experience with the BRX axles, where from Boom Racing, there's no tie rod. I've done this. I put BRX90s under an Element when we were building Lord Pennaby, so I know that the rear is reverse rotation. So I have got, doing the ordering from Boom Racing, we've got an 827, so a 10%. So we're going to put that 10% in here, and then we're going to take the gear out of here, and we're going to put it in this one, because, and then we'll have a reverse gear to throw in the drawer. Hexes, there's no bits in here. There's no tie rod, there's no hexes, there's no shims. It's not used. It's brand new out of the bag. So, why this is a whole project and not just, remove axle A and slap in axle B, is because FMS, in their divine wisdom, they went their own way. They chose their own route for the leaf spacing. Their leaf spacing is not the same as this. Now, it's not explicitly going to be a problem for us. Oh, a nice little shock mount there. The screws here hold on these are adjustable. So we don't have to make any kind of fancy apparatus, which is what I had to do on Bruce. Because if we remove these, and we will have to remove these because they'll be replaced with stainless steel. All the hardware on this axle will be replaced with stainless steel because we have to. So this should just slide. Oh, there we go. So it's fully splined. So we can turn this. Now I gotta get this to line up like a building a puzzle. So we can adjust that pumpkin angle. So we're gonna have perfect. This lady, ladies and gentlemen, is going to have perfect pumpkin angles. Now, what I do have to do, which is going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy, is find an FMS leaf. And I am not going to lie, absolutely touch and go. I was beginning to wonder if I had an unused leaf. Sheila is not going to pick up, that I can think of, she's not going to pick up much in the way of sprung weight. She sits about where she sits. I would like to try to get something to hold the battery a little better, though I don't know, because what we've been doing so far is literally I just set the battery right there. No retention at all. It's just under the hood. And it really just kind of locks in there. So, I mean, we'll analyze it because we've got to pull the body. And what I haven't checked to see is she should be that the only thing that has to be removed to pull the body is I have to unplug the servo for the steering wheel, and I have to unplug the headlights. That should be the only things that need to be removed. So, here's where it gets important. The spacing on this is typical to the Leafs of RC 4-wheel drive, Boom Racing, all of them, 12 millimeters. And then this is a Leaf from FMS. And the outermost holes are 17 millimeter spacing. So, I'll do a little mock-up, because my hope is that everything lines up. The idea, at least, is very simple. Here is the tube of the axle. Here is the leaf guy with the two holes that go through it, right? We're going to make a little plate, about like that. And that will have two countersunk holes in it, which will allow us to bolt it to the axle. And then it will have two threaded holes in it, right here, that will mount the leaf to. That's it. A 12 to 17 millimeter leaf adapter. We have to make 4 of them. I have material, I have aluminum material of all the thicknesses one could possibly imagine. I will dig through the bin, and I know that I need something about, did they have, so these guys have the guys on them, the shock mount guys, and then I guess the shock mount there. It's weird that there's no, but did I open this and not put the stuff away? Did I open this and not put the stuff away? Because we also have sent in by one of the lovelies of the Canyon, wide hexes. Now see, front and rear weights for BRX90s. We're going all in Boom Racing, and no, it does not look like. And I got a front skid cover, just mostly because I think it'll look cool. We'll get that mounted on there. I'm going to have to source a tie rod. It's not explicitly a problem. I will source a tie rod. We've got to pull. We basically have to take the axles completely apart. Take the ends off. Find the material to make the adapters. First things first, we need to remove her body and set it off the side. Remove the wheels and tires so that we can get a look at where the axles are going to sit. What is the width of this axle relative to that axle? Are we just going to switch over? That's really tight on there. We're going to find out. We're going to find out, because I run wideners on the. We'll get to it when I have the body removed. I'll get the body removed. We'll get these axles pulled apart. we'll figure out what we're going to do to, board's right here, pen's right here. I think a big portion of the success of Bruce and Sheila, 260 track. And that's outside to outside. So that is definitely what we are trying to replicate. And we're going to do it with better axles, with better parts. We're going to give her 10% front overdrive. We're going to put weights on it. We're going to make the wife's rig handle even better than it already does, potentially to my own chagrin. Okay, I have accomplished very little, but also kind of a lot. 260 to the outside edges, right? That's what that front axle is, fitted with this Trial clone wheel, Dash RC. They're the only ones that come in the real clone. The Trials are like brushed. They are this color. Because for once in my life, and this is probably counterproductive in the long scheme of things, I had to order something on Amazon, and I absolutely had to have a logo. And they give you that little thing up in the top corner that says, you can order items from here so that we'll deliver it at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, what about a 4-pack of Trial 15mm hubs in place of the stock hub that comes on this wheel that, there we go. Instead of the stock hub on this Trial clone. And I was like, yeah, I could probably use those. Bought them, hung them on a peg right up over here. I go to set up this axle, and I note that from not pin to pin, from flat to flat, right? So bearing end to bearing end, the BRX90 is 170 millimeters. The stock axle on the FJ40 is give or take 180. So we already lost 10 millimeters. We're already running a widener, which is a 15. That is a 15 millimeter. So it doesn't add 15 because it's only adding above where the stock hex would be. So it's adding about 10. So these are plus 10s. So that's plus 20. But we've lost 10. So now we're only plus 10. So then when we go from, I got one on the front, we go to that hub, and despite these not being Trial wheels, the Trial hubs directly bolt straight up. And up until about 10 minutes ago, Sheila was still running a mix of conventional hardware and scale hardware in her wheels. And it's all scale hardware now. So we have this rear axle, and we just had to, this is the hole that I had drilled, the safety hole, because it had a set screw in it. Because look how long the flat is on those axle stubs, right? So there was a lot of space for that set screw to set down on. That way you don't accidentally have a wheel fall off on the trail. Considerations that I have to make for trail vehicles that I don't ordinarily have to make for rock crawlers, because rock crawlers don't tend to be running for like 3 hours at a time. Like, I don't mean powered up, I mean moving. Like we do, on average, probably about 2.5 miles on any given day. So that is basically out on the threads. So we had to drill another one, and we didn't get lucky. We did not get lucky. Some things we got lucky. One of the things we got lucky with was I ordered those hubs because I needed something delivered the next morning. Sometimes, this is a bigger adapter. Sometimes you get it, you see how it goes point to point? So you have a nice flat right there to put your set screw down. Well, these don't have that, because these go flat to flat, and the point is right at the top, which is not a problem, because you just set it on something flat, you twitch it against the disc sander, you make yourself a little flat, you drill it, you put the set screw in, you do the other side, same thing. This to me is the real beauty of ordering cheap nonsense off of Amazon. I would not feel as comfortable cutting into my BRX90s, but I have no problem drilling some new holes to put some stainless in there. And then we grab, that one has been fitted with a 15. And these hex wideners came with this. So this is how they work. This is how they do the widening, if you're not familiar. This is 8mm, Vanquish style. But sometimes when you get them, you can get them like this. They got a little flangey on the bottom, and those are 7mm. And I will strongly prefer to use these because, again, it's a trail vehicle going out on the trails. And there's just that much more clearance when threading a 7mm in there, which is, 4mm lock nut is 7mm. And then this guy goes right on here. Because I have had Bruce has had a wheel fall off. One fell off at Proline, as a matter of fact. And I believe it was the passenger rear. And I believe it was the additional torque on him from towing a trailer. So I want to build Sheila a trailer at some point. There is a little wobbliness to the insert, the wheel, something. They have a real, I don't know what that might explain her little hop. But my goodness, you get those silicones and those Dash RC on there. Oh, you have one important question. We went through all that work and we went through all that drilling. 260mm. So this axle will sit the exact same width that we sat on there. And all we had to do, because it's not really that much. It seems like we're stacking adapters, but from the inside face of the wheel. So because these are very minimally positive offset, right? They're almost flat out at the face. If we had a deep dish wheel, we could have just run these. But I really like the looks of these in the pink. So from the flat, the machine flat, to where the bearing is, 25mm. So it doesn't look ridiculous. It's not enormous. That axle tube does look a little skinny with the size of this. I've already put a scale bolt into there, because you gotta have a scale bolt on there. And we will replace all of these, because I don't know what kind of treatment is on there, but we will replace these with 2.5mm stainless, of course. We will get our pinion angle set. This is the one where we have to take the gear out of that axle and put it in this axle. But before we can do that, I'm kind of curious. So this is with no other modifications. That's a kilo, baby. 2.185 pounds, aka 990 grams for the rear axle. Ordinarily, 990 for a single axle with wheels and tires on it feels like a lot, but this is over 3 pounds. It's about 3.5 pounds. So closing in on 2 kilo. And once you, if she's running a camera and then you put her second battery pack in the back, yeah, she's 2 kilo. So kilo on that axle, and we're gonna add some weights. We're gonna bolt the weights onto it as well. I'm not 100% sure how these work. Brass front knuckle. Oh, this is all fronts. This is all fronts. Front knuckle base weight, and oh man, this is becoming frustrating because she's just gonna outdrive me. I mean, she's already getting better at driving. She's passing me already, and now she's gonna have what are, in my mind, the best possible axle option for this, because we have full control over pinion angle. These pinion angles are going to be sexy. And as it sits now, they are not. Blip, ramp, blank. We have full control over caster. And that is not typically something that you have. We have full control over caster and pinion angle. This is a problem. This is a problem. And converted to the 7mm. So 15mm hubs. I got to mount 2 more hubs. I got to take this scale hardware off, remount these hubs. We've got to maybe I opened the box, like out of excitement, I opened the box, and the tie rod fell out. But we will source a tie rod to put up here in the front. Shouldn't be difficult. And then we will go about the process of pulling the stock axles and making our 4 little pieces. The most difficult part of the whole thing is going to be making 4 leaf adapters that are the same size. Like, I want them the exact same thickness. I want them the same length. I want them all to be the same. And we're going to need, they have to be raised. Like, if we just bolt the leaves down, if we were to just bolt the leaves right to where the carrier is, where's the rear? If we were just to bolt them straight across there, we would lower her vehicle, what, 10 millimeters, 12 millimeters? And we're set up for 100. So what we're gonna have to do is pull the axle, pull the shocks, swing them out of the way, drop this axle, drop the leaves, set the axle in place. Yeah, she's kind of, we still have a little bit of an arc in the front, but the rear is basically smashed flat. So I have to find, I know I have more. She's only running 3 leaves in the rear and 3 leaves in the front. I think we can go, we could probably go to 4. If I can find them. If not, I have carbide to drill RC 4-wheel drive leaves, if I can find those. So, we are moving right along, and I made an adapter to put a low-C spur in here to convert it to 48 pitch. And I believe what happened is I got it the tiniest bit eccentric. Because Sheila has a pronounced whir, 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 and I believe that's that spur gear just going like that. So, I did order in the interim, once again, we plan ahead to account for our own shenaniganery. So, I have the spur somewhere, and we went all the way. We've got Robinson 21, 22, and 24 Mod 06. And I believe I also have another Robinson, whatever size this one is. I think I have the OE. Oh, I have a couple. I think I have the OE size in Mod 6. But I have to find the spur. I have to find this MST spur. And I treated it the way I always treat it, which is, we'll never need this again. And threw it into a bin somewhere. I would like to just go back to Mod 06 because I think it will stop that. Even turning of my hand, you can hear a rear, rear, rear. I believe I did that in the attempt to make it 48 pitch. Instead of just spending the $20 on pinions and switching to and buying some decent Mod 06. So, I'm going to get this front axle to look like this axle, which means swapping hubs, fun, which means putting a tie rod on it, and then we will get to fabricating the adapters so that we can bolt the leaves down, and which I got to figure out the thickness. Like if I have aluminum that is the correct width, I'll just go through the top. That'll be fine. Probably going to have to cut it on the table saw, which I don't like cutting tiny pieces on the table saw. But it's kind of the only way I feel like I can get all 4 adapters to be the same thickness. I'm just glad I don't have to wedge them. I don't have to make wedges. They're just flat. And they're flat and probably like 12 millimeters. No. We're going to go 10 millimeters. Because I'm trying to measure from the flattest part of the axle to right where it's under the leaf, and it looks like about 10 millimeter. So if I have a hank of 3/8 inch aluminum, we are in business. Because I would like to rip a strip and then chop that strip into 4 pieces, set up the drill press, pre-punch my holes, drill my 16 holes, and get this thrown together. So, I'm going to do that axle because nobody needs to see it. Honestly, remove 6, replace hub, put 6 down, dig around in the bins, Junior Link Olympic style, to find a tie rod, and it looks like it doesn't need to be offset. It looks just like a straight one will absolutely do. Is it offset on here? Yeah, it is. I don't think we're gonna need offset on this, and we're gonna find out what happens. What happens? We're gonna find out what happens when like this should be more leaf cooperative. This guy is not as. Oh, and also we have to solder in a plug because I soldered together chassis lights and body lights, and then I had to cut them in order to get the body off. So we'll fix that as well. So this guy, can you see the little rust puddle right there? It's from this going like this and scraping against the screws that hold the leaves on, which we're going to get rid of. Those won't be there anymore. Now, I don't want to just drop it, and also this shock should stand up. It should be stirred up and down. I don't want to just... I don't want to just drop it 10 millimeters. I don't want to lower it. So we're going to go for 10 millimeters high by X amount of width by about 7. The leaves are 6. Is that 6.6? The leaves are 6.7 millimeters wide. That brings in me a question. No? 0.262? 9/32-ish? 17/64 wide. I don't know where they arrived on the decision of how wide to make those leaf springs, but here we are, 6.6 millimeters. So, front axle, and then coming up, 4 adapters, and then BRX90s, you know? Okay, all right. I was going to get finished putting the gearbox back together because I put it in the spur gear drawer. Yes, I have a drawer of spur gears, and I put the stock spur gear back in the spur gear drawer. And it's a good thing that I found it, and it's a good thing that I have pinion choices because it just occurred to me that the axles coming off have less gear reduction than the axles going on. I want to say they're 1134, same as TRX4. I could double check, but we're going to go based on that. So that's 3.09 to 1, and we're replacing it with 3.75 to 1. So the gear ratio is going to, that is 3.09 divided by 3.75. That's an 18% jump. But luckily, we're overdriving the front. So we were on I'll have to pull it out to check. I want to say it's a 69 tooth low C spur. And I want to say that this is a 62. So I'm going to have to go through all the math again. But maybe, just maybe, I didn't get it eccentric, okay? When I bought the low C spur, there were no, AMAN didn't have any pads. No, I got it on Amazon. I didn't know what pads would fit it. I thought I would just have a pad here and I could drop it in. That was indeed not the case. I didn't have anything that would fit. We'll just use this guy. I pretty much need a new little dental pick because I'm killing this one. So I made them out of a sheet of carbon fiber. What? Oh, I got them in out of order. I made them out of a sheet of carbon fiber, and I didn't get it quite right because what happened was they were too thick. The only way I could get them to stay in place because they were carbon fiber was I took them to the sander and I sanded them roughly to get them, a little space there, to get them to where I wanted them to be. Now, yeah, we have no slipper action on that pad. That's the inner part facing the plate. So I don't believe that we were getting slipper out of the slipper. This is how I did it before as well. It's ugly, but it's effective. So what happened was, there is the, okay, let me get that. Ooh, that's greasy. So I had to sand them down. That's where I think, if there's some extra eccentricity, that's where I think it came in. Because I was trying to sand this without feeding the spur gear into the sander. And I thought that I had it. I thought I did it. But now, upon a minor inspection, I don't think I did. Because that is definitely from where this plate was just rubbing the hell out of that. So I think that once it was all bolted down and slapped together, I think it very nearly fit. We almost did it, but it was just the slightest bit too thick. So we wore them brake pads down past where you're supposed to have them. We see people bring in cars like that all the time, do we not? We had metal on metal. And you'll notice we've got a crescent moon going because, yeah, I do believe it was eccentric. So we had a tiny bit of eccentricity because look at that razor line there and look at that gouge right there. So it was roo. And it was basically making the rig look like it was hopping because it was going loose, tight, loose, tight, loose, tight. Now, this is not going to be an issue because we are going to put the Mod 6 back in. We were running we'll just drop it off. This is a 48 pitch. We were running wipe off the end, 20. So we were running 2069, which is, in my head, 3.45. So if we divide 62 by 3.45, we need an 18 tooth Mod O whatever, but 18%. So that times 1.18. We need a 21 tooth pinion. We need a 21 tooth Mod 06 pinion. Alaka Shazam. Will it fit the slots on the plate? Well, I'm going to find out momentarily after I basically grab our good old friend, the Glob Mops. I really like these. Not sponsored. Hit me up, Glob Mops. I'm going through these like crazy because I don't know. I use the wax. We will re-wax. Whoops. The e-bike chain wax. It did great, but I think there was extra load on there, and it. Well, I mean, I don't think. I know. We definitely built up some heat in this area. So I'm going to get that as cleaned out as I can. Reinstall the 62. See if we can fit the 21. I don't see why we wouldn't. We fit 2069. We should be able to fit 2162. We'll get this all put back together. And I think now I'm excited and hopeful because I feel like, what if that was indeed the source of a goodly amount of that noise? This was definitely the outer. Oh yeah, had to get through the wax. There's our guy. There's our culprit. That is really polished smooth. I mean, it went a handful of miles on that. And it was growly. Oh, she's going to be quieter. She is going to be quieter because, can I do it? it's got like a, I don't know, those straight, so they are center pinion and they're flippable. Like, just think of TRX4 axle gear if you've seen one. Yeah, definitely the inner plate, definitely looking a little more, yeah, there it is. I think there is our culprit right there. So, oh, yes. So we've got the rear put together. I think there is at least a small chance that I've been sleepwalking across the ocean, because here is, I plasticked it. Can we see 830R? That is the reverse gear out of this. That's a bonus for me. I intended on putting a little overdrive because I love Bruce on the 10%. Might as well throw the 10% in here as well. So I had fully intended to put in an 827, and I knew this time. I knew when I got the BRX90s, I wasn't aware that they run a reverse. It has a reverse operation gearbox, so like an ATAC or a whatever, torque canceling, whatever you like to call it. I didn't know that, so I put it in, and the wheels were turning towards each other. This time I knew. I was like, if the BRX70s have it, the BRX90s have it. So I ordered the 827. We just took the 830 from the front. This is the 830 from the front, threw it in the rear. It is silky smooth. And why I think that I've been crossing the ocean is the amount of grease that I pulled out of those housings. And then, of course, refilled it with Yamalube. But the front axle is really well and truly something. We got the weights installed. Look at, man, do I like that skid plate. Man, do I like that skid plate. That skid plate makes me wish I had bought two. We're going to run it on the front. Oh, pro tip. Rough measured it. Filled it was about 140 millimeters, give or take. Got myself an axial link, which is a turnbuckle with the hole in it. Hole comes in pretty convenient. Put some offset ends on it. Dialed it out. Because these weights go together in two halves, there's a top half and a bottom half. We take our big old ruler. And we would measure from that edge to that edge, and it's 183 millimeters. And then while holding it still straight, then we would measure at the back, same thing, and it's 183 millimeters. And that's how we know we're not towed in or towed out. And then we find a link. That's just an element RTR link with TRX4 ends on it, and it gets us just about perfect where we want to be. It is, whoo, that 827. What are we talking about? That's a lot of mass to move. That's a lot. That's probably around that 990 plus the wheels. So we're looking at a kilo rear axle, and we're looking at about 1.5 kilo in the front. So basically, the stuff that is certainly unsprung, axles, wheels, tires, inserts, is about the weight of the body. It's going to handle so good. It's going to handle so good that it's making me angry. So now I just need to clean up the mess that I have made. We'll get these all cleaned up. I'll go use my Best Buddy brake clean, find out if I have any hangnails or cuts on my hands, get that gearbox put back together, get that gearbox thrown back into the vehicle, 4 screws, get this put back together. Then we can start dropping axles, and we can start, also for fun, just for fun, center to center, about 80 millimeters, center to center, just shy of 82 millimeters. FMS can't do anything the same way anyone else does it. They have to go their own way. And I'm absolutely fine with that, because I'm not a class 1 guy unless the class 1 is this big. Yes, I realize there's no banana for scale, but here is an actual class 1 tire. So yes, it is a gigantic, and I love the giganticness of it. And I cannot forget, we get to solder too. All right, I am going to get the gearbox all put together. I will probably drop the rear axle so we can begin the mock-up and then cut our 4 plates. And I'm hoping, am I hoping that we get a one and done on the adapter plates. I still haven't even marked anything out to see 17 versus 12. It should be fine. It should be fine because I was looking at it. Yeah, it should be fine. We're gonna, you know what we're gonna be? We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. And it did occur to me, based on what material I find, I haven't even opened the drawer yet. Based on what material I find in the drawer, I can space these out. Like, that's 1.5 millimeters per side, and then I can get those leaves perfect. But it has to be just the right piece of aluminum, and I have to take into consideration that for the front, my plan will act. For the front, this is the shock mount, right? So I either have the choice of L-shaping my adapter and attaching a shock mount to that, or just sandwiching it over this. I haven't thought that far ahead. We're going to do one or we're going to do the other. And then we're going to get leaves and we're going to bolt them on. Once those adapters are cut, this thing should just go right back together. And then we're going to go back and forth. And I can all but guarantee that it is going to be quieter because I will have undone that which I already done. So, not much, honestly, has happened. I made 4 little pieces. Not much has happened, but boy, did it take a long time. The compression of YouTube, and I don't just mean the audio and video compression, I mean the time dilation. We're about to tip over into hour 7 of the project. I did take an 11-minute break for lunch. So, where we ended up going was acknowledging that it's roughly 79 millimeters there to there, from that hole to that hole. And on this gal, closer to 82, so 3 millimeters worth of space. I figure we've got a fudge factor. So I found a bar of aluminum. And when it began, it was a little bit bigger than this. 10 millimeters thick. Give or take, it is probably 9/6. I believe it is 3/8 by 1 inch is what this bar was. I probably had a foot of it. And I went into it with a degree of hubris so high that I cut only 4 pieces to make the leaf adapters, because I figured we know the width of the bar, we know the spacing. It's one of these. Whatever is handy, this is woodworker stuff. We scribe the pieces, we drill the holes, and then we have to figure out, because you can see, well, maybe you can. These holes right here, those are the holes that go to the leaf mount on the axle. And these little nibs right here are the spots that mount the leaves down. I did, and then that line is for the center for the 3rd hole. So each adapter, 5 holes, 3 2mm holes, and 2 3mm holes, right? Now, we have to have a fastener hold that thing down, because the bolt has to go through the adapter block and then onto this, because that holds the whole axle together. So we got to get a big, long fastener to go down there. And that became a bit of a problem, because those screws are very close together. If the holes in the FMS leaf had either been further apart or closer together, it would have eliminated a lot of labors, because what happens is when you try to lay it down over the other adapter piece, 17 millimeters center to center, 12 millimeters center to center, that's 5 millimeters, that's 2.5 millimeters per side. We have to accommodate a head. Something has to thread them together, because this is threaded, this is slipped through, so that's what clamps it together. We just need a pass-through hole. So I started looking at fasteners, right? And if you take a typical flathead like that, the head on that is 5.7 millimeters across. It's actually the biggest head of all the heads. Even big cap head screws are smaller. So then you get those smooth Well, I always call them European style because it seems to. When I bought the Artful Dodgers stuff, they always come with bolts that look like this. We don't really have ones that look like that. We have the I don't know, what is it called? Reeding, fluting, like the stuff that's on the edge of an American dime. We have that around the heads. So then I found a little container of these reduced fluted flat heads. And I was like, that's pretty close. We're definitely getting down smaller. These are only 4.5 millimeters across. And I was like, but you know what we can do? If we're working with that kind of numbers, we can just make it ourselves. So this is an M3 by 20 stainless. You take it over to the lathe and you turn it down to 4 millimeters. This one's $3.99. See, the one I had to make 8 of them, $3.97. So it's plenty close enough. I cut blocks 12 millimeters wide out of this bar right here. Drilled 5 holes in them. 2 3 millimeter. I started with 2.5. You can see how close. You can see how close. This one has a hair's breadth of material, not there. 3 2 millimeter holes, tapped them to 2.5 because that's the hole in the FMS leaf. These were 3 millimeter. Countersunk them with a countersink bit to 4 millimeter because I reduced these heads down to 4 millimeters. Sits down in there real nice. And then I re-drilled all these holes out with the good old, the lucky, the trusty, the helper of helpers, the American 1/8 inch drill bit, which is 3.1 millimeters. So that way, if you're off by like 1/4 of a millimeter, if you're off by a tiny fraction of a millimeter, and it doesn't want to pass through to go into here, well, then you give it a little wobble space. Especially as we countersunk holes out to 4 millimeters, and then we're putting 4 millimeter heads in them. That's again more of the woodworker stuff. Then, after several iterations of messing with the pumpkin angle, the pinion angle, and we just threw some spacers on, I realized if I flipped the shock tower around, it would nestle in much tighter. This is just a 9 millimeter alloy spacer, fairly typical stuff. And because we spaced it out, the leafs are perfectly in line with the chassis rails. I think the axle is pretty perpendicular. It looks mostly straight across. It could have a little wander to it. We got to deal with what we got to deal with. Looking at the height of the axle hole, I think it's close. I think it's definitely close. And that is oftentimes the best I can hope for. If we can get it close, we'll just classify it as a win. So the front still needs taken apart, put back together. Well, that went on. So we're already moving in the right direction. There's that rear. Slap this on. There is BRX90 rear. Thought about painting them, because they're just silver guys down there. And then I was like, no one will ever know. Only you will know. Look at that pinion angle. Look at that pinion angle. Look at that drive shaft angle. Let's look at the rear compared to the front. And all you got to do, it's not a problem if you can solve it with money. Oh, Mia's shaft in there. This is a modified TRX4. Was not fitting on this pinion. That pinion sticks out so far. We can turn it. You can see, look how far it comes out. That is crazy. And definitely something you don't have to worry about. I've had them happen before, where the tip of that pinion will shear off, and then the pin comes loose and it just comes apart. So it's not going to happen on these. There has to be 5 millimeters of material between the hole and the end of the pinion. So rear is on. And I said, once I made these, and it was probably 2 hours. And I don't know. I mean, it looks straight. If it's on, I can't, does it look like it's going that way? Now it looks like it's going, yeah, it's camera angle then. Because it looks like it's turning the same way. It looks like it's pointing in like that. And then when I turn around, this side looks like it's pointing in. But that side should be back because we flipped it over. So we've got the flat belly. I mean, the drive shaft is barely below the leaf. That's going to be one safe drive shaft up there. Look at that. Oh my goodness. So, there's a little bit of soldering that need to be done. The other two, they were in my hand, and here is the 4 fasteners to fasten them down. But in order to affix them, oh, was this all the way together? It's been so long. It's been a day. This will be a full work day of labor. Yeah, you can see how far back that hole is. This will be a full work day of labor before we get this, and I have to set the pinion angle, and on the fronts, it doesn't have the easy peasy shock mounts. It uses these little guys that lay down across here. So honestly, I mean, y'all know what I'm going to do. You know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this little pinched guy. I'm going to take him over to the sander, and I'm going to grind those things off so it's just flat. And I'm going to stick it on there. And it should come out as a wash because most of the weight is down on the front. I don't think that adding 2 millimeters to the front is, and don't think I didn't think about sanding these down to accommodate. But no, we're going to take these two, we're going to grind that off, and then we're going to stick them on there. I thought about making my own sort of a thing, like attaching a shock tab that comes off this on the side. This is kind of riddled with holes. I don't want to put a hole into another hole. I was like, you could kind of maybe get through right there. Or we can take these and sand them down. So, do I document the process? No, because the process is so dynamic that I'm just rolling with it. I'm like, maybe this will work. Let's find out if this works. And sometime, I don't know if it's now, I don't know if it's in the future, someone is going to come in a comment and go, oh, you know you can buy the, what are these? I think they're 140. You can buy 140 millimeter long leaves. And I would go, because I mean, would that have saved some labors? Yes. But I'm not mad about it. We got a BRX90 on there. And we're going to have a second BRX90 on there, which for you, in a matter of seconds, I will get this axle off. I will get this axle assembled with the leaves on it. And I did make sure, did I? There are little dots. I did. There are little dots on the leaves. Does this one have one? This one doesn't. This one doesn't have one. These leaves all have. Are they even visible? Yes. You see them right there, right in between those two screw heads. There's a little dimple. All of the leaves, apparently except for that one, have that little dimple, and you got to match those dimples up, because for whatever reason, the holes, the 3 holes, they're off center. They're off center. This one is, they're like a millimeter apart. One's like 25 and one's 24. Why would you do that? Why did FMS make, look at that. Why did FMS make a lot of these decisions? I don't know. I'm just rolling with it. We are adrift in heavy seas, and we're just making it happen. We're just making it happen. So, I also don't have a 5 millimeter speed bit to take these these 2.5 millimeter lock nuts off. So I have to do it by hand, like a cave, like a Neanderthal, like prehistoric caveman. So I'm gonna get this axle off. I'm gonna get this axle assembled so that we can slap the leaves on it and put it together. And it was iterative to get these leaves on, because I kept looking at the pumpkin wrong. And then I had it fully mounted, and the pumpkin was perfectly flat. The pinion came straight out the front, and I was like, what did you do? And I held it, and when I turned it around, I was still acting like the pinion was facing forward. So I basically built it backwards. We're going to make that effort not to build the front one backwards, and we're going to hope that the shocks sort of line up. And we've got mounting hole options, and it might involve us removing the shock tower, removing the fenders to get to it. This one I had to go to the lowest hole. We are currently in the middle hole. We were in middle hole front, and we were in the lower hole here. But because this is going up higher, this is much lower of a mounting position, I feel like we're probably going to have to go to the top hole. And I will, you know what? I'm going to try a wobbly and see if I can pull those out. But it's more of the same for me. And in like just a blur, a bit more of the same for you. The mess be absolutely messin', but I feel like I can almost see light at the end of the tunnel. Still hoping that it's not a train. Leaf's mounted up. I probably should have. What I should have did, didn't do, is I should have made a mark. Use the scribe. This guy that we're going to mount the shock to, I should have scribed along that on this block, and then I should have scribed down the side of the leaf on this block and just reduced it down, taking it down as narrow as I could, because we can almost just attach the shock directly to it, except for this little fat shouldery guy. It's already assembled, man. It's already assembled. The only uncertainty at this point, I feel, is drag link. The odds of it being the same one are incredibly low, but I will already tell you this. The clearances are dramatically improved. If only we could use that much steering angle. We can actually use about that much steering angle, because these big boys will go right into the leaf. And I'm telling you, something about that Trepidor tread, when it goes into that leaf, you just stop. It just stops you cold. So I am operating under the normal operating procedures for installing parts on a trail rig, which is this. If you feel the bit slip at all in a fastener, like if it even feels like it has wobble right there, throw it away. Throw it away. Because corrosion is real. I threw 3 or 4 screws away. I will not risk it. I would honestly, I'd have the whole thing on socket caps, but ask me a question. Ask me the question. Say, hey, would this whole process have been easier if you just made your own chassis? Yeah, probably would have. This is it easier to fix the house, or is it easier to knock the house down and start over? I do believe it would have been easier to knock the house down and start over. But, you know what? A little bit of sunk cost. A little bit of, well, sunk cost via dollars. Also sunk cost via, well, you've already, sweat equity. Like, you've already got that much time into it. So did we guess right? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Oh, my goodness. That's not going to touch anything. And it still has a pretty nice... I didn't want to get that little chin down too far. Oh, man, that's good. And I did give it a little mockety, because it does indeed look like, with a 27 and a 9mm spacer, which is also coincidentally what we're running in the back, that will go right like that. No, I was like, there's got to be loose lock nuts out of here at this point. Easier to do this before the steering is connected. I also note, I grabbed that Mias. It's the only one. That's a glow-backed, which is the same drive shaft. Like, I think the parts would fit together. Like, the splines look identical, and they're both in phase. So that's all I really care about. So whatever that length is, I will check my Amazon purchase history and find out what length that drive shaft is. Either one. I'm not particular. The black might look nice. The silver might look nice. Whichever. And you know I'm lying. You know I'm going to buy two. I'm going to buy new drive shafts. Is there only one nut? There's one nut. We're having there's a concerning amount of fasteners over there because I think every screw I removed, I just replaced. I can think of a handful that have actually gone back on. Some of the leaf mounts. But anything off the old axle is not on the new axle. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Feels good. It's honestly crazy. If you've never felt a leaf setup on an FMS FJ40, when you do this, it is like you got the tendons flexing in your arm because this one is going to be over 10 pounds now. She's probably going to be closer to 11 with all of the stuff that we're putting on. Oh, you would have so much steering angle. Can't use it. Can't use it. Let's slap the drive shaft on, see how that goes. I believe it should still just be same length, front and rear. Get on there. There you go. Now, yes, we need a shim. We need some shims. And honestly, it looks like we need quite a bit because, as I said, that pinion is really long. In the rear, it is shimmed as well. And what I'm now remembering is that there's a bag of shims. There was a bag of shims in the bag with the axle. 1 millimeter of Traxxas Teflons, and that looks like, so 2 half millimeter shims looks like it's going to be correct. If this threads in. There we go. The pinion will try to settle itself in. Okay, so it's a little bit less than 1 millimeter. Probably 0.7. I'm just eyeballing. That doesn't look like a 0.1. That looks like a 0.2. And I'm not going to say that we have to shim to the accuracy of 1/10 of a millimeter. I just don't want the pinion getting sucked into the ring and getting noisy. Okay, doesn't like that either. Is it 0.5? Could be. Don't drop them both. Don't drop them both. Let's just try it on a 0.5. I have more shim in the back. Oh, they're not the same gear. It's an 827 in the front and an 830 in the back. Ooh, that glow. Ooh. Oh, okay. So the pinion depth on the 830 is different than the pinion depth on the 827. Okay, this, I prefer the Mias, so that wasn't too bad. I think they might just be two slightly different lengths. Oh, that feels really smooth. Yeah. I get a better shim in the front. Or the nose on the glow, maybe they aren't exactly the same thing. Maybe the nose on the glow-back is just ever so slightly longer. Now, let us find out. I went up in spacer. The old was a 9. This is an 11. Is it an 11? Hey, box. Is it an 11? box I'm talking. I can't even find the box. It's bigger because it looked like it was going to thrust it right into the... Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Not a little bit shorter. 12 millimeters shorter, give or take. I had sort of anticipated this. I'm going to say, honestly, 70, maybe 71 at the outside. Eye to eye, approximately, and this one is 80. So yeah, about 10 millimeters shorter. I couldn't find the container of stainless button heads. Well, I don't know where it went. Turnbuckle, which is my choice. I love it. You know what? Bring back turnbuckles, man. Is that long enough? We're going to see what the throw looks like. We're going to see what the throw looks like, because if instead of a 14, if I can use like an 18 with a lock nut on the back side of it, I would genuinely prefer that. I put a fitting on there. I put a hollow ball with the, like, I want to say it's probably an axial shock mount. Because it has a built-in spacer, and we were running a spacer before, but I will take a spacer built into the hollow ball any day of the week. Okay, we're a little too short, and that's where I would prefer to be, because I can hold one end, it'll hold the other, and we've got our trusty old tiny turnbuckle wrench. We can dial this out a little bit. Nope. So towards me is longer. I will commit that to memory for at least as long as this video segment, and then it will be gone. And should I have to make any adjustment in the future, absolutely gone. I was making an effort when setting up both FJ40s to have them both use just off-the-shelf, what I call $2 Amazon horns, because then you never have to worry about some special. I don't want a Vanquish horn or a Reefs horn. I don't want some kind of I want the least special horn possible to hold this thing on. And honestly, looking at it now, I think we might have made it too long. I was measuring to the back hole, the 24 millimeter hole, and I think we ran on the front. Oh, it looks close. Oh, it looks real close. Okay, as mentioned, this is a 14. Yeah, we can absolutely get a longer with a lock nut on there. That is, it pretty much lines it up where it was before. We could run an even shorter horn because our throw is only probably there to there. We're only using about 60% of the servo's total throw. And again, front pinion angle looking nice. I'm not accustomed to good pinion angle. And, hey, there's those shims. I'm not accustomed to good pinion angle being combined with leaf springs. Ordinarily, leafs are, you've got what you got and you get what you get. And you can get upset, or you can you can pay to win, I guess. I look at the Boom Racing axles as basically, if I'm going to spend money, if I'm going to spend a serious amount of money on a pair of axles, and no, we're not talking about Vanquish money or anything like that with this, and we're not buying housings, we're buying full axles with good gears in them, gears and all the things. It's like the screw kits from Traxxas or the lighting kits from Traxxas. Is it the cheapest? No, not at all. Can you do it cheaper? Yes, absolutely. Do you have other options outside of BRX90s? You absolutely do. But these are really, really nice. They are really well made, and they do not short you on the grease at all. I have to do it. I have to do it. I've been at this for some long while. Yeah, we're pretty close. If I hold that there, you don't really want to get much closer than that. Ooh. Yeah. Ah, okay. The rings are on the opposite side because we just have, they're not rotating against each other. We fixed that. But the thing is definitely 180 off, and I kind of anticipated this. Not to the point that I got the card out, but I recognized it was a possibility. All right, I just also fired up the soldering iron so that I can solder in a JST on here. I'm just going to bundle them together, put them on a JST, and then put a JST on the other end that I cut off of the headlights. I should have done it smarter before, but let's just say no one is surprised that I didn't. I was in the moment. And when you're in that moment, you always think, I'm never going to have to take this thing apart again. We're done. Because, you know, because they're always done, right? You're not constantly working on these things forever or anything. That would never happen. Planetary box is a bit... Oh, there's that. I just caught a glimpse of the 10%. It's definitely something... I wonder. I did a wrap around the outside of the silicone on this to help it better fill out. I wonder if it either got wadded up or if there's like sand in there, because I can feel it shimmy. Only from the rear. That's how you know you got leaves. Does not settle. Yeah, once I had her apart and was looking at it, I definitely opted not to add another leaf. Yeah, that shake is gone. It is acceptable. The planetary box, man. Planetary box is a little loud, but it should also be exceedingly robust. Particularly as it now has, as was intended, a functional slipper on it and adjustable. It's right up there. I can actually tighten the slipper or loosen the slipper if need be. Planetary boxes get, like out on the trails, you cannot hear the motor. It's just the gear. It's just the roar of the gears. And I'm kind of okay with the roar of the gears. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to clean up all of this. And I'm going to resist all of those urges that are telling me, dump it in a servo box. No! Get thee away from me, Satan! I have to, I gotta put this thing, I gotta put this stuff away. I'm going to solder this JST on. I will slap the body back on. And we'll do the same thing. We'll roll it back and forth and we'll see how we feel. We'll see how we feel. I mean... looks-wise, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Like, was absolutely worth it already. So good. Yes, I acknowledge. The axles and the weights That doesn't count the drive shafts that I'm still going to buy. Basically cost as much as an FJ. I feel like we put an Avco Lycoming helicopter turbine in a Honda Civic. But wants over needs, man. Always. I'm just going to have to come to an acceptance of the fact that in exchange for gear reduction and robusto, she's kind of loud. She's kind of loud. The gearbox, the axles, the changing of it back. There's just a lot of gear noise out of that Planetary because, well, to be honest, there's a lot of gears in there is what it is. Could we put a quieter gearbox in? Yes. Is she sitting a little tail down? Like the tiniest bit. Almost like I put a spacer under there and it, you know. Oh, I was absolutely spot on. The inserts are, I think they're Famandas, Glowback, whatever. They're the firmer ones. They're already decently broken down. They feel a little bit firmer than a blue, but not nearly as an Enduro blue, but not nearly as firm as when they were born. I guess we need some kind of FJ specific 3D printed insert with like 10% infill in it. Because what I did is here, I have some 3D printed inserts. They look pretty much exactly like this. They're called Scoric clings, and you like preload them because they're much bigger than the tire. Kind of roll them in. That's exactly what's in here, but they're a wider version. They're wider than these. I believe these are for Genius. I believe these are for Genius. So, that's what's in here. And it really squares off the profile of the tire. Look how, yeah, boy. So, that looks like it's a little off, but it was not. I was just driving it outside, and it doesn't feel like it's pulling. There's some leaf stuff for you. So there's the insert. There is the rings that were in there. That is how the Dash RC get their weight. The rings are plated steel, and they look like it. Now, because this is so much smaller than the inside of the Trip, I thought, well, I'll just shim it with some fridge foam. And the rears, one of them was just like this, down under like that. So that's why we were getting the wobble. That stuff is all dead. And the silicones would need to be replaced anyway. That is, wait, let me see. No, it's a little softer. This is an Enduro blue. The blue now has a little bit more density than that. So the 3D printed that are in there for now, they're going to do the job. It looks crazy on the rear view. Just look how square they are. Super square. Like we could take the spacers off and just go to hexes because it would just pull the tires in even. This thing, but we did give up some. I removed the steel and I just replaced them with aluminum. So that's going to drop 250 grams. Half a pound. But it is rotating. It is also low, was also low. So, I don't know. In the spirit of the things that are never done, we're certainly not done. The inserts, honestly, that looks pretty good. They're designed for ruptures, which are about the same exact footprint as the Trepador. So that's just an absolutely fortunate coincidence as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what it is explicitly. I mean, it is like right there. Right there. Does it need one more leaf in the back? I can't get over looking under the bottom and like, where are the drive shafts? This thing, now, good old Sheila now, sitting, yeah, the inserts added about 8 millimeters. So about 4 millimeters per tire. So she's almost 270 wide now. And because they're so squared up, honestly, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I took her outside and I drove her around to see if maybe the gears needed to talk to each other a little bit. That is a Fusion Pro with a lot of gear reduction. A lot of gear reduction working for it. I want to say out of the gearbox, something like 14 to 1. Then 375. Yeah, it's definitely Fusion Pro territory. For sure. And, man, those BRX90s look so good. Had I known that I would end up right here where I am now when we started, I probably would have just left the hubs. I would have just left the same hubs on the wheels, because then we would be, you know, we would subtract about 7 millimeters per side, and as of right now, we got almost 20 millimeters of tire outside the fender. So Sheila is gonna be stable. Real stable and real smooth. So 3D printed in here, and they honestly, they feel about right. Well, they're also designed for a much thinner tire with a much thinner sidewall and a much softer compound. So we're abusing things, you know, as we do, but that looks pretty right. They might be a little on the soft side, a little bit on the soft side. I'm not mad about it. I'm definitely not mad about the BRX90s. There's a little blocks. Like, it looks like when it's sitting, it sits. Yeah. The front axle sits a little bit lower. So I think it's all that. I don't think it's a leaf issue specifically. I mean, as in number of leaves. I think it's going to be real good. You're going to see on a soon upcoming edition of Wheelin' Wednesday, when she's back out on the trails. Yeah, that wheel's just turned a little bit. We can adjust it. I'll either adjust it or I'll sub-trim it. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I started at 7 a.m. So that's a proper 8-hour day. I got sand in my eye. I'm still scraping. See if I can capture it. I'm still scraping sand out of my eyes, because when I freed one of these from the tire, it slung a whole handful of river sand right into my eye. So this is the unanticipated stuff for me. I didn't anticipate that building some FJ40s to go out on trails. I didn't anticipate the frequency of the maintenance schedule. I mean, these guys, these FJs wear out a set of inserts in 3 months, and they don't drive every week. We're gonna have to figure out some better longer-term solution. I don't know what it is. All I know is this. I'm the goat who screams like a man. I'm so tired. I am so tired all the time. Sheila and I are both tired. Sheila's just happy to be put back together. It drives really good outdoors. She is a little bit on the noisy side. There's more than a fair amount of gear noise. But that is what the editing software is for, so we can cut some of that down. Thanks everybody. Thanks for sticking with me for whatever this was. BRX90s onto an FJ40. The axles were nothing but cooperative, and the FJ itself, it fought me tooth and nail from start to finish. So Bruce and Sheila now have their own axles, their own gearboxes. There's no more FMS to remove. Okay. Unless somebody says the fatal thing where they're like, oh, didn't you know? You can get 140 millimeter long leafs in the regular RC four-wheel drive bolt pattern. I'll be like, ho, 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 ho. We get to do it all over again. As I said, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm so tired. I hope you're having a fantastic day in whatever pursuit you might be into. I hope that you come on back and see us real soon. I hope that in between now and then, you one and all do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you again here from the Canyon. I am certainly working on something next that is not an FJ40.